You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
Today, this breakfast isn't just breakfast. It might be the first McDonald's breakfast you're having at McDonald's again. This lunch might be a weekly tradition you hadn't had in weeks. And this dinner might be the first one you bought for not just you in a while. Whatever this order is for you, McDonald's will be here to take it.
Get more of the chicken you love with a delicious McChicken sandwich for $1. And for an extra $1, add a refreshing Dr. Pepper. Dining rooms are starting to reopen in certain communities at participating McDonald's. Cannot be combined with any other offer or combo meal.
In uncertain times, we could use someone to lean on. Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Oklahoma will stand by you with plan options to fit your budget. If you've recently lost your job, had a baby, or moved, you can still get the healthcare coverage you and your family need. Financial help may be available for those who qualify. Call 855-452-BLUE or visit hereforyouok.com to see if you're eligible to enroll. Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Oklahoma, a division of Healthcare Service Corporation, a mutual legal reserve company.
Not to be a backseat driver, but can you say for sure you got the best monthly payment possible on your auto loan? Could it be that you might have gotten a better deal by shopping the loan at a few places and have a lower car payment? Next time, before you go car shopping, visit Communication Federal Credit Union first. Our auto loan experts will find you a perfect loan and get you the lowest monthly payment we can. Communication Federal, your auto loan experts. Restrictions apply. Federally insured by NCUA.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
A new year means it's time for a new home network that can keep up. With Cox Internet, you have the speed and coverage your family needs to stay connected. You'll enjoy Cox's fiber-based hybrid network with options for fast upload and download speeds. And if your household has lots of connected devices, Panoramic Wi-Fi may be the perfect fit thanks to its additional control features. Plus, with advanced security on Panoramic Wi-Fi, you'll know each connected device is securely protected 24/7. A whole world of connectivity is yours with Cox Internet. Learn more at Cox.com.
Run.
Welcome to Sunday Night with Alan Ray. I am your humble host, Alan Ray. Kind of a special night. Maybe not for everybody in chat, which if you're finding yourself meandering about the interwebs, and it's Sunday night, it's 9:04 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which, as you and I know, is the only real time. Log in to www.klrnradio.com/chat, where you will find all kinds of miscreants and mayhem makers like Jeff Stoner, who you just heard on Lost Wanderer, a great show. Good to have him back. You know, I'll sit there getting prep for my show, listening to him and thinking, wow, I'm a space nerd. I totally am. Not even lying. You got Artie in there. You got myself in there. You got Eric. You got Mike. You got Rex. You got whoever guess 163 is. Welcome. And you got Raptor in there. Welcome, guys. And I'm telling you what, I'm going to tell you guys in the chat right now, I am going to depend on you a little bit tonight, because if you have questions throughout this, get my attention, do something, post a great big nude picture in there or something. I don't know. Eastern Daylight Time. Right, exactly. Anyways, any questions, just shoot them out there. I'll try to get to them. I'll try to let you know. Tonight is a bit of a special night because lately in chat, in the show, and I know I missed last week, but leading up to it, I talk a lot of prepper stuff. I talk a lot of things. Stacy and I come on here and we do shows about raising food, storing food, getting ready for times that may go a little bit south. And even if these times don't go a little bit south, maybe, things cool out, things get back to somewhat normal. I'm skeptical about that. But even if they do, maybe causing you to lead just a little bit better life, a little healthier lifestyle, a lifestyle that's more, and I've said this time and time again, and I'm not going to get off on this tangent, a lifestyle where you are an asset, not a liability to the people around you. So they're posting spiders and coffee on the chat room. That's beautiful. And that's what I'm here for. Now, about, 3 years ago now, 3.5 years ago, I made a move that I never thought would be possible. And I got my technician license in ham radio. I am now up to my general license classification, and I will get into the difference there in a minute. But this journey all started way, way, way back when I was about 10 years old, and I had an uncle that gave me an old Hallicrafter shortwave radio from his time in the Korean War. And I didn't know what it was. He just said, hey, put a wire here and throw it out your window and you'll get all kinds of cool radio stations. And I did. Half the radio stations were in languages I had no idea what they are. I mean, I knew Spanish. I knew some of them were Spanish. Some of them were Chinese sounding. And since then, and now I'm not young anymore. I'm staring down 58. This is back when I was 10 years old. Since then, I have always pretty much throughout my life had some form of shortwave radio. But it wasn't until about the last 10 years that I actually started getting into different radios, and it started with SDR radio. An SDR radio is kind of radio that it's just a little dongle that plugs into your computer, you hook it up to an antenna, and you can get it on your screen. It's a listening radio. But it's kind of cool because it's got the cool waterfall display, and you can look at different things, and it goes all the frequencies. You can get SDR for all the frequencies. Now, that led to me, after I changed jobs to the job I have now, having somebody which, if you get into ham radio lingo, they call them an Elmer because somewhere along the line, somebody named Elmer helped somebody get the radio license. So now they're all Elmers. It's kind of a weird name, but there's some weird stuff that goes on in ham radio. We'll discuss that. The guy that I worked with said, yeah, I got my general license. It's really not hard. You should do it. I was like, well, don't you have to go, you have to know 15 words a minute for, Morse code and all this stuff? He goes, no, you don't have to do that anymore. They stopped that. And it's not that hard to get. And lo and behold, 2 weeks of studying and cramming a little bit, I passed my technician license with flying colors, actually. The guy said I did really, really good. And that's what I want to talk to you about today. Is ham radio dead? We've had this discussion. No, it's not as busy as it used to be, but and I feel there are still a lot of uses. There's still a lot of uses for ham radio. And yes, they are violently trying to get my attention in the chat room. But I'm not going to be distracted even by those. Yeah. And I'm going to tell you why I think it's a good idea. Number one, I don't trust the current communication system. I'm even telling you right now, those little cell phones you carry around, everybody carries around, those are basically tiny ham radios. They operate on radio frequencies. They're little bitty ham radios. There's licensing involved with the FCC every time you have one of these. And if you get into a lot of even in technician license, more so in technician license in ham radio, you will learn very quickly where a lot of the cell phone services came from, along with a lot of other things like your Wi-Fi internet and stuff like that. You'll draw conclusions. Now, I'm not going to go into those either. It's something that you'll notice. Like, oh, hey, and we'll talk about a little bit of one pretty soon. But I believe that it is a really good idea to have a different form of communication that does not rely on you hooked to a bill that costs you upwards of $50 to $100 a month that can be yanked out from under you at any given moment. And I know a lot of people buy these cheap, we call them prepper radios, Baofeng UV5Rs, okay? Baofeng UV5Rs are out there in droves, millions of them, and they're the prepper radio of choice. That's fine. We're going to get into this show on how to program them, the second half of the show. Buy them. That's great, but you can only listen to them. And believe me, if you are unlicensed and you are transmitting even on one of those, there are people out there who are trained to find you. And when they find you, you'll be fined. You'll be fined. You'll have your radio taken away, and it's very expensive. But that's only part of it. Now, I know a lot of people say, yeah, well, when everything breaks down, I need this for communications. Well, wouldn't you rather start your communications right now? Wouldn't you rather? Doesn't it make more sense to, if the proverbial doo-doo hits the fan, already having a network of people in place, already knowing how you can communicate with the prepper radio you have just bought off of Amazon for $25, what to do with this radio, the protocols for doing it, being able to maybe look at that and go, hey, I can do a little bit better than this for not a whole lot more money, and eventually being able to, communicate from your house to Spain, the Netherlands, whatever. Find out what's going on outside of the world, communicating with people off and on outside of your own country eventually. Well, you can do that. You can do that. It's a step, but you can also have some access to the HF frequencies even with just a technician license. It's not that hard. So let's talk about that. I want you to seriously consider, if you've bought one of these prepper radios, if you bought one of these little Baofeng UV5Rs, I want you to seriously consider getting licensed so that you are using it properly and exploring what else you can do with these technician licenses. There's stuff out there that may kind of blow your mind. But first of all, what do you do to get licensed? It's not that difficult. To me, it's about 2 weeks of studying, maybe 3 weeks of pretty rigorous studying. Guys, I'm not going to lie to you, okay? It's boring. Oh my God, it's boring. Reading the book sometimes is maddening. I offer this suggestion. First of all, let's go down what you need to do. Figure out what level. This is according to hamradioprep.com. And I kind of agree with it. First of all, figure out what level of license you want to go for. Just go for the technician license. I don't recommend going for the technician license and the general license all at the same time. Get your tech license, get steeped in the protocols of ham radio, the things you can and can't get away with, the things, the gentleman or the ladies and gentlemen agreement of what you can and can't do. Figure it out first. So decide, go for your technician license. Now it's time to study for the exam. Don't scrimp on the book. Now, one thing I don't agree with is the ham radio prep guide gave a link to a book that I don't personally recommend. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to post this link right in the chat room. You need to get an official ARRL ham radio license manual. Do not get a used one. If you get a used one, you may get one that has old material in it, and they have changed quite a few of the questions. My licensing was the last year of the old questions, I think. 2022, nope, 2 years. It was 2 years after I got mine. So I posted a link to Amazon. It's probably one of the biggest expenses you'll have when you first start out in amateur radio is getting the dang book. It's almost $30. It used to be free to get your license. It is not free anymore. It's $35. to get your technician license, thanks to our government, who is always money grubbing, always having to get their hands on some cash they didn't have before that you earned, it now costs $35. I'm sorry about that. Mine was free. My general license was free. It sucks, but it is a fact of life. It's worth it, though. It is definitely worth it. So get the book. Make sure it's an ARRL. And that is the official American Radio Relay League of the whole nation here. And you can go on ARRL's website, and they've got a bunch of stuff in there that's very useful information. You can log in, but you don't really have to have it. Right. What are you, a Rockefeller? Exactly. But anyways, it used to be free. Now it costs. Sorry about that. Study that book. I recommend you digest that book about a half a chapter a day. Just read it. It's not going to make a whole lot of sense to you unless you're some kind of genius that understands words. I'm a visual learner. I can read it. Some of it made sense. Most of it did not. A lot of it was just like whatever. But there's questions at the end of every section. Well, actually at the beginning of every section, it tells you this is what to look for. These are the actual questions that will be on the exam. And then at the end of the book, there is actually all of those questions, just one right after another, just like you would take it on a test. So get the official book. Number 2, I personally will recommend hamstudy.org. Hamstudy.org is a website, and it's also a phone app. Hamstudy, and I just dropped that link right in there. Yeah, 250 pages, a lot of reading already. Sorry about that. Like I said, it's not fun. The worst part of getting your tech license is studying for it, not even going to lie. And you do all that studying, you do everything I'm telling you, and then when you get there, it's a multiple choice test, and it's really not that hard. But anyways, you have to study for it, or you're going to fail it. Get on hamstudy.org. It cost a few bucks to get the phone app. Totally worth it. It's not very expensive. Last I knew it was like $6, $5. I bought it, and you can keep it all the way through your licensing. And what hamstudy.org does is you keep getting questions taken out of the question pool. What is there? Like 400 questions or something like that? 400 some odd questions in the testing pool. And your test at random will choose 35 of them. Now, your neighbor will get one that, you're taking the test. Your neighbor will get one that have 35 completely different questions on it. Everybody pretty much has different questions because they don't want cheating. They want you to study it. So hamstudy.org, I personally recommend. All it does is it sits there and shoots question after question after question. And after a while, you actually get to know that stuff. And if you get one wrong, it tells you why you got it wrong. It gives you the information. This is what you should have. Or even if you guess and it's right, you can still click on it and go, okay, why is it right? And it'll explain why it's right. Very, very good test prep. I actually, when I got my general, I just read through the book, which I hardly even remember reading, and most of it was just the hamstudy.org, and I just kept going over and over until, and I got 100% on my general license, 100%. I mean, I went in there and just, bam, it was done. Third, this is another one that's just my recommendation, but it's a very good recommendation. Ham Radio 2.0. Ham Radio 2.0 is a YouTube website. Also, he's got his own website. He does a ton of critiquing different gear. He does a lot of reviews, a lot of things on YouTube. He's the one that actually, I've made a lot of decisions based on his stuff. Well, he has classes on here. And I'm going to post this in the chat room too. Ham Radio Technician Class License. He put it all together. It's like a 2 hours and 34-minute class. And I'm sure you can mark it. You can come back to it, whatever you want. Go through the class. Go through the class with the book. He might recommend a different book. I went through it with just the ARRL book, and it was just fine. But anyways, I actually watched his whole video series for his old stuff, watched it while I was on the treadmill during the winter leading up to when I took my technician license. So get the book, the official book, get hamstudy.org on your phone, on your computer, and hamstudy.org will also allow you to take practice tests where it's just like a real test environment. You go through 35 random questions, and when you get to watch the video, watch that video. Videos to me is a lot, he's actually explaining while he's bringing up everything, and it's all in the book. Everything's right there. It's all the same information. Might be laid out just a little bit different, but it's definitely worth hearing it while you're just focused on it, maybe working out or maybe just chilling in the morning or something like that. Digest this stuff a little bit at a time, but focus on that hamstudy.org questions. Keep popping them until you're so good at it, you're getting just about every one of them right. And you'll get to that point sooner than later. When you're getting to the point where you get on these practice tests and you're passing them just about every single time. Now, it's 35 questions. Guys, you can miss 6 questions out of 35. Okay? You can literally miss 6 questions and still pass that stinking test. When could you do that in school? 6 questions, they would make you go back. But these are multiple choice questions. And if you're familiar at all with the information, a lot of these you can tell what's not the right answer, what the right answer is. Between the video, watching that video from Ham 2.0, reading the book, glancing over the book, and answering the questions just over and over again on Ham Study, you're going to reach a point where you're just blasting through this stuff and you know the answers. Even by familiarity, you're ready to take the test. Now, that's the big one right there. When you're ready to take the test, here's what you have to do. And you're exactly right, Jeff. It's a lot like IT certification tests. A whole lot of studying for questions that you're probably not even. And here's the thing, Jeff, that's a good point. Jeff in chat says it sounds like the IT certification test. Here's the thing. When I went for my general, I studied my butt off. I was a little bit intimidated. Some of the stuff on there was like, man, I don't know this stuff. I studied and studied and studied and studied, and I got to where I could answer all those questions just backward and forward. And when I went in there, the test they gave me, this is just luck of the draw. The test they gave me had to have like the easiest questions on the whole study guide. They were just sickeningly easy. I finished it in like 5.5 minutes, turned it in, got 100%. And the guy's like, you want to take your advanced? I was like, no. It's just that was the luck of the draw. Look at the questions. And he goes, oh, my God, they didn't even give you a hard question. I was like, exactly. So, yes, every test you've ever taken, and it's exactly right. Ordy, you're exactly right. It's just like any other test that you've taken since the advent of the interwebs. They give you this piece of paper. It's 35 multiple choice questions. You're in and out of it. If you know the stuff at all, if you're passing those tests online, you will pass the test for your technician license. I guarantee you. So real quickly, just a little sample. These are the 10 hardest questions that you may be faced with. Now remember, this pool is over 400 questions. You get chosen 35 of these out of this pool and given to them. The 10th hardest question, which of the following is an appropriate receiver filter bandwidth for minimizing noise and interference for single sideband reception? 500 hertz, 1,000 hertz, 2,400 hertz, or 5,000 hertz. I chose 2,400 hertz right now, and I was right because I deal with that crap every day. That's the 10th hardest question. The 9th hardest question is, which of the following is a common repeater frequency offset in the 2-meter band? And I know that one too. It's 600 kilohertz. It's one of those things that before you get on there, no, you don't know this. After you get on 2 meter, you know it's 600 kilohertz, either plus or minus. What that means is you transmit on one frequency and the repeater picks that frequency up and you hear on a completely other frequency. That's what offset is. And we'll get into repeaters in a little bit. I'm not going to go through all these things, but I mean, there's things like what property of a radio wave is used to describe its polarization? But we don't know that one, do we? The Orientation of the electric field, the orientation of the magnetic field, the ratio energy of the magnetic field to the energy electric field, or the ratio of the velocity to the wavelength. The answer is, of course, the orientation of the electric field. This stuff's easy for me so far. But anyways, it goes down there. What's the hardest? Let's just skip down to the hardest question because I don't want you to get bored with this. I want you to be cool with this. The hardest question. Which of the following is an example of remote control as defined in Part 97 of the FCC rules? A, repeater operation. B, operating the station over the internet. C, controlling a model aircraft, boat, or car by amateur radio. Or D, all these choices are correct. This is the hardest question, the one people get wrong the most. I got it right. Operating the station over the internet. So there you go. You should be able to do this. Most people, I'm not a fast learner anymore. I'm really not a fast learner anymore. I studied 2 weeks, and I was ready for this. General took a little bit longer. General took about 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks. Still went in there, kicked its butt. So there you go. Now, you get licensed. Oh, by the way, let's talk about where you go to get your license. Yes, you can take a test online. If you live in a remote area, you may want to consider that. Now, the online test, you still have to have people witnessing what you're doing. You have to have ham radio, people that are, general or advanced license, witnessing what you are doing. So your camera will have to be pointed to the test sheet, and you are to take the test. It's just like being there. I mean, you can't just do it and fudge your way through it. People have to actually watch you. You have to have witnesses. Or you can do it the friendly way. You can do it the extrovert way. Sigh, I'm not an extrovert. Go on the interwebs, go on your Google machine, or whatever you choose to use, and look up your local amateur radio club. Most of the time, you will find somebody close to you within a few miles who is doing weekly or monthly testing during their club meetings. You can arrange, you can call these people up. When I got my technician license, I drove to Howell, Michigan, where my alma mater, Cleary University, is. And just down the road from there, they were doing testing, and that's where I got mine. Even during the shutdown, during the pandemic, still got it done. All right? Or you can keep your ear open to a ham fest, which is a swap meet. A lot of ham fests. This time of year, there's a ton of them going on. A lot of ham fests, you can arrange to take your test there. Now, to do this, you have to have some information. You have to go on the FCC's website and you have to register yourself. You have to have an ID that you have to give these people before you can take your test. That is part of getting your license, is you are registered with the FCC. What does that mean? Not a whole lot more than what anything else means right now. You're probably already registered with the FCC if you have a cell phone. But you have to actually apply permission from the FCC to say, hey, I want to broadcast on radio frequencies. Not that big of a deal. It's just basically all the information they probably have on you anyways. You just have to verify it. Once you get that information, you take that, your driver's license, to your test. You take your test, and you will know if you've passed almost immediately. Now, if you're a technician license, it takes a couple of days. It only took me 48 hours, and I was already registered. I found my ham radio license on the FCC website. They will explain to you at the class where you will find your FCC radio license. Mine was ready and up and going in 48 hours. I was on the air. That is as easy as it gets. 2 weeks of studying. Find a local organization that's doing testing, or if you live in the middle of nowhere, in a cave somewhere, you can do it online. It's a pain in the butt. It's easier and more fun to do it in a club or with some people, because then you know the people around you that have ham radios. And that's important, because when we come back, we're going to take a look at some of the things you can do with a simple technician license. Don't go anywhere. It's Sunday night. I'm Alan Ray. I know this is kind of a pain, and it's kind of something that, okay, did I really want to hear this? Are we sorry we got him going on this a few weeks ago? But I'm going to get into some pretty interesting stuff when I get back. Don't go anywhere. It's Alan Ray. It's Sunday night. We'll be right back.
As a Blue Cross Medicare member, managing your medications from home is simple. With our easy-to-use prescription drug plans, you can get the medicine your doctor prescribes from your local pharmacy or even delivered by mail. For the trusted care you need and want, Blue Cross will be here with more convenient ways of getting it. Like we've been for more than 80 years. Blue Cross Blue Shield of Michigan. Confidence comes with every card. To learn more, visit bcbsm.com/senior options.
Hey, Randy, what you doing?
Oh, hey, Dave. I'm just making a list of things that make me feel really, really good.
Wearing Bombas socks.
Trust me, that's number one on my list. Bombas socks feel so good because we use the smartest design and best materials, making them the most comfortable socks ever.
Plus, because socks are the number one most requested clothing item in homeless shelters, we donate a pair for every pair purchased, and that feels pretty good, too.
To shop Bombas or learn more about how your purchase supports those experiencing homelessness, go to bombas.com/comfy and get 20% off your first purchase.
If you prefer real mornings, shouldn't you have a real breakfast? At McDonald's, we get real about breakfast. That's why you can have a savory sausage biscuit with delicious hash browns for only $1.50. It's time to wake up breakfast. Single item at regular price. Prices and participation may vary. Cannot be combined with any other offer or combo meal.
Today, this breakfast isn't just breakfast. It might be the first McDonald's breakfast you're having at McDonald's again. This lunch might be a weekly tradition you hadn't had in weeks. And this dinner might be the first one you bought for not just you in a while. Whatever this order is for you, McDonald's will be here to take it.
Get more of the chicken you love with a delicious McChicken sandwich for $1. And for an extra buck, add a refreshing Dr. Pepper. Dining rooms are starting to reopen in certain communities at participating McDonald's. Cannot be combined with any other offer or combo meal.
Not to be a backseat driver, but can you say for sure you got the best monthly payment possible on your auto loan? Could it be that you might have gotten a better deal by shopping the loan at a few places and have a lower car payment? Next time, before you go car shopping, visit Communication Federal Credit Union first. Our auto loan experts will find you a perfect loan and get you the lowest monthly payment we can. Communication Federal, your auto loan experts. Restrictions apply. Federally insured by NCUA.
By the way, did I tell you there's math? There's math. There's a little bit of math on the technician license. Not a lot. Not a lot. Don't freak out. But the math that they have in there, you really need to learn. It has to do with frequency, length, and feet for waves. And when you get ready to start making your own antenna, that's very, very important. Half wave lengths for an antenna, quarter wave lengths for an antenna. Ohm's law and the power formula. I'm going to throw a Ham Test Online website in there that goes over that. It's not really hard. I mean, draw a circle and put E on the top, I on the right or left hand, and R on the right hand. And E equals I times R, and you can change it around. Remember the algebra? The algebra that you thought you would never use in school? Well, if you get your technician license, you get your ham radio license, and you decide to start building stuff, you got to know that stuff. Sorry, but I promise. And when you get to general, there's a little bit more laws, things that you have to know. Not a whole lot. But remember, like I said, it's all multiple choice. You'll get it right. If you remember the formulas, you'll be okay. And you are allowed to take a calculator. You cannot use your phone. You are allowed to take a calculator to your test. So there you go. I posted that in the chat too, little ham radio license stuff. I'm trying to get you guys prepped and psyched out so you can do this. I want you to do this. Now, there are things you can do with technician licenses that you probably didn't know. Ham Radio has its own email system, WinLink, WINLINK, WinLink. 2 meter, which you are, when you have a technician license, you're limited to what you can do. 1.25 meter, 2 meter, and 70 centimeters are the big three. And a lot of people don't use 1.25 meter. I've got a small group of people that we go back and forth on because the waves are basically ours. Nobody else gets on them. We can get on them and talk any time of day, night. There's nobody else on them. There is Simplex, which is basically radio to radio. Around here, there's 4 or 5 of us that a guy lives down the road, another guy lives in a town over a little bit, another guy lives over the other ways. And our antennas are up high enough where we can actually talk radio to radio with all these guys and hear each other just fine. There are nets. And what is a net? A net is a group of people that get together at a certain time, predetermined time, and they basically have, under the guise of emergency preparation, they have basically a little conversation. There is a net controller which guides everybody. You are to direct all of your information, all of what you say to him. He is the net controller. And then you have people that check in. When they check in, they basically give their call sign, and he goes right down the list and chooses them. Nets are prevalent for everything from simplex, radio to radio, to repeaters. And a repeater is something that actually, to tell you the truth, Michigan is not as full of ham radios as Ohio is. One of the busiest group of repeaters is in Toledo, Ohio. Hey, there's still a lot of them in Michigan, but Ohio has a ton of them. And that's just how it is. But anyways, people get on these nets and they go back and forth. And they do this for a reason. And a repeater, basically what a repeater does is just like your cell phone, it takes your signal and it strengthens it and it broadcasts it out. I can sit on my patio with a little handheld HT, like your little Baofeng that you guys we're going to talk about here in just a second. I can hit 3 or 4 local repeaters, and I can talk all over the county into the counties around me with those. Just as clear as day. Just as clear as I'm talking to you right now. As far as simplex goes, if you've got your little prepper radio, expect a mile, maybe 2, maybe 3. The difference between your, and these are frequencies, HF, UHF, and VHF. UHF is ultra high frequencies, VHF very high frequencies, HF's high frequencies. HF is your good old fashioned ham radio, large wave bands. The only thing you're allowed really on, if you don't know Morse code, CW, the only thing you're really allowed on is 10 meter. And there's a chunk of 10 meter that sometimes this time of year, now we're at a solar maximum right now, 10 meter is just, you may wake up tomorrow and 10 meter will be a bomb. You can talk to people. I've talked to people in Madrid. I've talked to people in Cuba. I've talked to people in Spain, all on 10 meter on a good day. If 10 meter is not working, well, you may be able to get the town over from you, and that's about it. It's basically just above CB radio, 10 meter is. But you can use a lot more wattage. But you have WinLink, which is an email system that runs on radio waves, mostly 2 meter. 2 meter travels a little bit farther. You can still do Morse code on 2 meter. There's a lot of things that you can still do on them. But there's also, and God bless the collective autism of this planet. Yeah, Madrid. I what I meant to say was Brazil, not Madrid. I've talked to people in Brazil. Just on HF, I've talked to Peru. I've talked all over the United States, all over Canada, all over South America on HF, and a little bit. I think Scotland's the farthest I've gotten on my little rig. I'm just using 100 watts and a 132 foot wire. Well, yeah, just throwing out facts in there. Michigan has 9,841 tech licenses. Vermont has 978. How many Ohio tech licenses are there, Jeff? Look that up for me, man. But anyways, what I'm saying is thank God these autistic SOBs took internet and combined it with ham radio. And what they have now is where you have repeaters. You can go down the road in your car with a dual band ham radio in it, little antenna sticking up, and a repeater that you hit, if you've got programmed into your radio, may have links on the internet to a bunch of other repeaters. For an example, WAIRA is a system of repeaters on the west side of Michigan. In fact, I think they just added a Flint repeater, so now it's across the state. If you have those plugged into your radio, and here's another thing that you can think about, I have an All-Star node that's sitting just behind me on the stereo speaker, and that All-Star node can hook into this repeater system. I can sit here in the comfort of my own home or in my car driving up and down the state, and I can talk to people all the way up to the Mackinac Bridge and across. All the way down, even coming into the state, down by Chicago. If I have these repeaters into the system. Now, you do have to program them. Just throwing out statistics. Let's look at these statistics. These are good statistics, Jeff. 381,030 tech licenses in the U.S. 186,923 general licenses in the U.S. What did you say? 12,346 in Ohio. Is that what you had there? So there you go. Puerto Rico has 2,899. Jeff, I'm not even kidding. You can talk to people in Puerto Rico. They're always on there, especially 10 meter. If 10 meters open, you'll find somebody in Puerto Rico. They love their ham radios down there. You can talk to people in Cuba. I did that the other day. But anyways, where was I? You guys are distracting me, but I'm loving this. Anyways, they're getting into it. When you get your little prepper radio, your little Baofeng, wouldn't you like to use it properly? Yes. Yes, you would. Even if you don't have your tech license yet, you can still listen to radio. You can't press the big shiny button that says transmit. If you do, there's people out there that have been trained in what they call fox hunts, and they can pinpoint you. They can track you down to your house. They can track you down out in the middle of nowhere, which, if you get lost and you got a Baofeng, if it's hitting a repeater, you might be able to get some help. It is allowed in an emergency, but it has to be a real emergency. Yes, if law and order tank, you may get away with it, but I'm going to give you a little word of advice. People who are thinking about this with prepper radios, ham radio governs itself. And ham radio people get really irate when somebody who doesn't own a license starts transmitting. I imagine the world can be blowing up around us, and you'll still have some ham radio operator that will get so pissed off if you don't have your license and you're transmitting that he will track you down and grab your radio and smash it. He'll probably be 90 years old. You can probably tip him over, but they'll get mad. But it's better to have it and get your stuff set up now. Why? Because they have things like weather nets. Around here, if we start having tornado watches in our area, and if you live in Oklahoma or Tennessee or places like that, oh man, you have these almost every night. They have Skywarn nets, where if you're a Skywarn activator in your area, we'll say, hey, we've got the storm coming through, and a lot of people will get on these nets and they will report things like high winds, hail coming through, tornadoes coming through. You won't get the stuff on the news. The news will pick it up from, the FC or the NOAA weather radio, who basically is also listening to these reports as they're coming in and helping make decisions. And like they'll tell you when you're studying for your license, or your certification for storm tracking. NOAA has a radar. It can tell you when there's rotation. It can tell you when there's things on the ground. If you're listening to a Skywarn net and your local repeaters, you will know what's coming at you as it's coming at you. The tornadoes down in, where was that? Arkansas, here a while back. I tuned into a repeater. And by the way, if you've got the scanner apps on your phone, a lot of those have repeaters in them too, where you can listen to those. So if you don't want to tie up money into your prepper radio yet, listen to those and see what you think. But I was listening to these people report the weather coming through as it was coming through. And then like 5-10 minutes later, you're hearing the weather stations saying, hey, you better duck and cover. Okay, minutes count when it comes to this stuff. And of course, it goes without saying, if you're doing it with weather, you're also doing it with things like, well, I don't know, if war breaks out in the country, stuff like that. So that's a good idea to have that capability. And yes, if you live in a pretty populated area, your little Baofeng, your little UV5R will actually pick up a lot of these things. If you live out in the middle of nowhere, you may be able to hear quite a few of them, but I doubt you'll be able to actually communicate with them. Unless you live in a mountain and you put up an outside antenna. Now, you can hook a small handheld radio to a big antenna. I do it all the time right here. I've got a digital radio, what they call a DMR radio. In fact, just before I came on air, I got a DMR hotspot, which allows me to tie it into the internet so I can get to all of the DMR stations, including the ones I listen to on repeaters locally. But that's another day, another story. There's so many things you can get into with ham radio. We'll get into all-star nodes and DMR radios and stuff like that later on. That's like nerd to the nth degree. It's a lot of fun. And most of it runs on Pi, Raspberry Pis. Just about everything. In fact, I think this one that I just got in runs on a Pi Zero. It's very, very small. I'm pretty sure that this thing's running on a Pi Zero. It's about that size. And that's going to hook me into the internet with DMR. So now I'm going to have All-Star and DMR going into the internet, the interwebs in my house. And it doesn't take up a lot of bandwidth either. Very small bandwidth. So anyways, you get your little UV5R. Baofeng, here's the deal. Ham radio operators, as a rule, hate Baofeng radios. But I don't know of too many of them that doesn't own one. Everybody has one. UV5R is probably one of the hottest selling Baofeng radios out there. It's Chinese. It's cheap. A lot of people don't like it because it doesn't stay within ham radio specs. There's a lot of things that sporadic noise that it broadcasts and stuff like that. It can interfere with some stuff. But everybody's got one. Why? Because if you drop it, you break it, you crush it, you're only out a few bucks. I got mine for $12 during in October last year during some flash sale. And mine's a UVS 9X3 Baofeng, which basically what that is it gets 1.25 and 2 meter and 70 centimeters. Most UV5Rs just get the 2 meter and 70 centimeter. Which is what most of your repeaters run on right now. One word of advice for that prepper radio you got, if you really have to keep the antenna that came on that, we call them things rubber duckies, okay? The antennas that come on those, on most of your handhelds, are very cheap. The first thing you do is you take that antenna off, you put it somewhere, because if you want to trade it, sell it, you can put it back on. Go to Amazon or go to DX Engineering, something like that, and get you a genuine Nagoya antenna to put on there. It's taller. It's more of a nuisance. It gets in the way. So if you want to take it back off, put the cheap one back on. If you're just around the house, that's fine. But you'll be a lot happier with the Nagoya antenna on this thing. And if you've got a tri-band, like already, I think you ordered the UVS 9X3, Nagoya makes a special one just for that. Yeah. $25, that's what you got on mine. And like I said, I got mine, I already got his for $25. I got mine on a flash sale, and I had like $5 worth of points, and I had a coupon. I got mine for $12. So yeah, you're out there. But yeah, Ordy, I'll get with you later. There's a special Nagoya antenna that I've got on mine that is, it just makes it a lot better. You can pick up a lot more on it. You can get out a lot more. When you are programming these radios, you can turn them on and you can scan through channels. You may hear some stuff, you may not. The last 10 minutes, may go over just a little bit. I'm going to tell you what you got to do with these things, okay? You have to program them, especially if you get your technician license and you're going to go all out on it. what you have to do is if they don't come with a cord to program them, you can get the cord online for $5. Already did yours came with a cord? I'm sure it did. But anyways, there's a program. It's a USB cord. It hooks into the side of the radio, goes into the computer. You hook it up, and then you turn the radio on. You turn it up loud, very loud, because sometimes if you don't, it doesn't, I don't know, the computer doesn't read it. What you need to do is you need to download Chirp software. Now, I'm going to put this in the, there. I'm going to put that link in the chat room as well. Chirp software. Chirp software, and I know there's IT people. Jeff is IT, Orty's IT. There might be more IT people in there. Chirp software, you will load that up and go, oh my God, this stuff looks sketchy. It's sketchy. But I've never had it infest anything into my computer that Avast couldn't handle. Chirp software will allow you to very quickly load up your little Baofeng with all of the repeaters in your area. And what you need, and you'll get into this when you study your book, is you need your transmit frequency, your receive frequency, which are two different frequencies. You will need a CTS tone, which there's a tone that rides along your radio frequencies that opens and closes that repeater when you talk. If you don't have that code, you can't transmit on that repeater. You'll be able to hear it, but you won't be able to talk on it when you get your license. And there's a few other things. You can make changes to the radio. You can turn off your stupid, oh my gosh. Okay, let me put it this. There's something called a Roger beep on these radios. The very first thing you do before you program it, you get in there, you find the settings, you turn that Roger beep off, or people will throw you off repeaters. They really will. They get really angry with Roger beeps. So just turn them off. You don't need it. I don't even know why they put that on anything. So anyways, little rant. I put the Chirp software in there. You download the latest version of it. You go under, you plug everything in. You find the read from radio, and you hit that. Now, it'll bring up a little window. It will ask you what communication port your USB port's plugged in at. You find that. Usually it's dead on. If it's not, there's usually a choice. You can grab it. And then you find your radio. Of course, Baofeng is going to be, if you've got the original UV5R, Baofeng has got a ton of different, you could scroll down Baofengs, what they support, what they don't. You'll find the UV5R halfway down and all of its variants. Now, already I'm going to tell you right now, the one you've got, that UV9X3, if you want that programmed, you have to look under Radiodity, and I believe it's the UV5RX3. And UV5RX3 it's the same radio. It's just it'll allow you to program that. So there you have it. And then you hit read from radio, and whatever's on that radio will come up on your screen. Then if you decide to load up all the repeaters and you want to do it really, really quickly, and this whole thing takes you 3 minutes when you get trained on it, you can go to the drop-down menu, programming menu, and it'll drop down and it'll ask you if you want to import, and you hit yes, and you want to import from, I always use Repeater Book, because Repeater Book is a very, very trusted source, and it will give you the miles. Now, one little hint, you could say, I want up to 20 miles, 50 miles, whatever. And then it'll ask you what frequency, 2 meter or 1.25 or 70 centimeters. And then boom, you import it. It goes right down the line. Now, what I do is when you get ready to load the next frequency, if you've got 2 meter loaded, you want to load 70 centimeter, do it again. Make sure that it'll give you a window. Is this where you want to start? Choose everything after your 2 meters, or you'll just right over the top of the 2 meter and you won't get what you want. It takes a little practice. I've got somebody I listen to quite a bit. Watch him. He's a real smart aleck. He's got a dry sense of humor, and he's very funny. Not a Rubicon Productions. I've got a little how to use Chirp software. I'm going to put that YouTube video in there. Mark that. Watch it. And once you get used to this, guys, I'll grab a radio and I'll get ready to go on a vacation. I'll find all the repeaters when I'm traveling, and I'll just program them. In fact, my little Radioddity GA510 sitting right here. I've got every repeater going across the state of Michigan when I'm going up to my in-laws' house programmed into this. So I can talk to people. And it's 10 watts. 10 watts is pretty good. It's easy as that. Or you can manually enter all of these things across there. The video I just posted will teach you how to manually enter things into your radio. But when you get your tech license and you have all these programmed in, you can jump back and forth. Now, I'll warn you. This is like any other hobby. The tendency is to get bigger and bigger and bigger all the time. Now, right now, I'm pretty happy. Right now, I've got my general license. I've got a 100-watt Yaesu FT710. And you guys in the chat, you've seen pictures of it. And you know what? We can make a sub-info channel on Discord if there's enough interest in doing the ham radio stuff already. I'd be glad to post things in there. Jeff says done, so I guess I'm on the hook. I'm going to start posting stuff in there. I'm telling you guys, if once you get into just the technician license even, and you can set up an all-star node, or you can get into DMR, which is a little more pricey, get a DMR node, but an all-star node, you can get a pretty decent all-star node. You have to know a little bit of programming, which you guys, I'm sure, can do it. If not, we could probably walk you through it on the Discord channel. And I can sit here and probably talk to each and every one of you just on my little all-star node right here. You can set up a talk group and you can sit there and chat, go back and forth. It's just like ham radio. People can come and go as long as they've got your information. Or here's the other thing too, and this is kind of an older production. You have Echolink. Right now, if you get your technician license, before you buy anything else, right now, you are sitting on a ham radio. If you're in the chat room, or if you're on a cell phone listening to this, watching the chat room from your cell phone, you have a ham radio on you right now. Echolink can be loaded to your computer. Now, you have to be licensed in order to even log into it. The first thing it asks you is, what's your license? And there are repeaters all over the nation. In fact, my local repeater right here, just south of me in Adrian, Michigan, just got Echolink on it. I was listening to it last week or weekend before last, and all of a sudden somebody said, talking to somebody else, and they signed off, and I heard their Echolink disconnect, and I went, what? So I got on there to the guy he was talking to and said, hey, did I just hear an Echolink connection? He goes, oh yeah, they just put it back. They put Echolink in a week ago. Echolink is completely on your computer. In fact, when I'm talking on Echolink, I use this exact same setup. I use my little Rhodes board, I use this microphone, and I get on Echolink and I talk to people all over the world. So it's not just radios, it's radios, computers. You've got your own version of email you can get with WinLink. You can get All-Star nodes and talk to people all over the world. There's linked computers that are linked to All-Star, linked to Echolink, linked to DMR. And DMR is something I'm just getting into, digital repeaters or digital radio. I'm just getting into it. Let me tell you what, it's advanced. But all of this is available just with your technician license. Plus, you've got your 10-meter bands. 10 meter is an HF band. It's a good introduction to HF radio. Once you get to that point, you're going to want to get to your general license. General license is where a lot of the good stuff is. General license allows you to broadcast all over the country and other countries. I mean, I've talked to people everywhere. And that's also where you get into things like FT8 and some of your digital things, and it's all transmitted over the free airwaves. It's not, a lot of these things are not hooked to the internet in any way, although you can hook a computer to them and send emails and send messages and everything else. All right. Everybody, any questions in chat? I'm not seeing a whole lot of it. Hopefully, I've got things figured out. Mike, thanks for hanging out with me. Mike's cutting out. I think I'm going to cut out too. I hope this convinces you to get on that studying, get the tech license, and take that prepper radio that you just bought and you put in your backpack. Learn how to use it. Learn how to use it. They've got emergency. In fact, we should have field days coming up pretty soon. We should have, there's an emergency operations net in different states. You'll have one around you before too long. And they encourage you to go off grid when you do those things. So it's really cool. Get on there, study, get that tech license. Let me know when you do. I'll get in Discord for those of you who are in chat, and everybody's welcome to chat. KLRNradio.com/chat. Get in there. We're going to have a Discord channel with some of the stuff on there. I'll start posting things on there that I know of. I'm not the expert in any way, shape, or form, but if we get people in there into this stuff, that maybe we should talk about some of the growing stuff that we do that Stacy and I talk about. Stacy and I are going to be here tentatively next Sunday night at this time slot with Playing in the Dirt. I've talked to her already, and she's good with it. She's like me. We were lame-os, and we have nothing going on for the weekend. So hopefully I'll see you all next Sunday night. I'm Playing in the Dirt with Stacy and Al. Keep it locked on KLRN Radio all week. I promise you, Sunday nights are the nerdiest it gets. Everything else is pretty cool. God bless you. We'll talk to you all next week. Peace.
Striking all over the world. There's lightning striking all over the world. There's lightning striking all over the world. There's lightning striking all over the world.